Welcome back again. In the last class, we stopped at question 2C, which we are asked to create objects and validate before creating the object. And we also save those objects in in an array, which was the last thing we did in the last class. So let's move to question 2D. Now, question 2D says the chance of a horse jumping a fence without knocking it down is calculated as follows. If the height of the fence is more than maximum height a horse can jump, the success percentage is 20% of the horse percentage success. The risk does not affect this value. If the height of the fence is less than or equal to the maximum height a horse can jump, the risk gives a modifier value to multiply with the horse percentage success. The risk values and the modifiers are given in the table. For example, the horse jet has a percentage success of 65 and max fence height of 160. A fence has a height of 140 and a risk of 3. The height of the fence is less than the horse max fence height, therefore the risk is used. The risk of 3 gives the modifier 0.8. The modifier 0.8 blah blah blah. The chance of the horse is blah. The method success in the odds class takes the height and risks of a fence as parameters, calculate the percentage, returns the calculated percentage, write program for the success. The first thing you guys will realize is the first time you read this, it becomes a rubbish to you. You don't even understand what you have read. So you don't have to panic. Because if you're not careful, you start panicking that, oh, I don't even understand everything. And as long as it is, it's just 5 marks. So you don't have to panic when you read it first. It's normal. Even what I read, if not that I've solved it, it also does not make sense to me. So you have to calm down when you say something like this. Is that understood? So don't say it's ambiguous. No, just calm down. You've read for the first time, okay? Then go back and read it for the second time. But in second time, you will not be specific. Is that understood? Be specific. Find the main points. Okay? Now, it says that the chance of a horse jumping a fence, that's the chance jumping a fence without knocking down is calculated. That means it's more probability, right? Now we're trying to find the likely event of an horse jumping a fence without knocking the fence down. Then you now take it slowly. Don't forget you are supposed to spend 10 minutes on this question, isn't it? But you don't have to be very slow. You still have to be fast. That's why I say you go to the specific point. You don't have to read everything. Just go to the specific. Maybe you take a pencil to underline the main word. If the height of the fence is more than maximum height the horse can jump, that is the height of the fence. If it is more than the height the horse can jump, can you see? We are now getting it, right? It's now making a sense. The success percentage is what? 20%. Now, if the height of that fence is now less than or equal to, now it's making sense, isn't it? It's now less than or equal to the maximum height a horse can jump. The risk is now into consideration. The risk gives a modifier value. To what? To multiply with what? Percentage success. That means if it cannot jump, it is just 20% of the horse success. If it can jump, we have to multiply a value by the what? Horse percentage success. Does that make sense now? Now it's now clear. So these are the modifier values. That means if the risk is 5, you are supposed to multiply 0.6 by the horse percentage success, isn't it? If the risk is 2, we are supposed to multiply what? 0.9 by the horse percentage success, isn't it? Now we understand. But in this question, you are likely to spend more than 10 minutes, do you know? So that was why in these bonus questions, where you are asked to write a class, define the constructor, don't waste your time there. Save time. Don't say because this is 4 marks, then you have to spend 8 minutes because it's 4 marks. No. Make sure you spend 1 minute here. Is that understood? So you can use the remaining 7 minutes to add to this 5 minutes so you can spend more time on this question to interpret it to yourself to understand. Is that understood? Good. Now the question I give an example. But before we read this example, we have understood it, So we should not spend much time on this example. Let's just scan through the example. Percentage jets. There are two horses, beauty and what? Jets. What is success of jets? 65. Maximum fence height is what? 160. That is the number of height it can jump. What is the height of the fence? That means it is more than the fence, isn't it? That means we have to calculate a risk. If it is less than, we don't have to calculate a risk, isn't it? So now that it's more than, we have to calculate what? The risk. So what is the risk? 3. What does that mean? We'll go to the table and multiply what? 0.8 by what? 65, isn't it? Can you remember the example? So that since the risk is 3, we multiply 0.8 by 65 by the percentage success. But what if the height of the fence is 200? What are we going to do? Multiply what? 0.2 by 65, 20%, isn't it? Now we understand fully. So further, it now says the risk modifier is what? Okay, the height of the fence is less than the horse maximum height, isn't it? That means we need to what? We need to calculate the risk, isn't it? So if the risk is what? 3 and the modifier is what? 0.8. That means 0.8 times what? 65, isn't it? Which is exactly what we just said now, which is what? 52. So the chance of the horse to successfully jump the fence is what? 52% from that 52. Is that understood? Very easy. Now, let's now move forward. It now says the method success. We have not been asked to write, isn't it? We are still understanding the question. I said, understand the question to avoid typing rubbish, isn't it? The method success in the horse class. Where are we going to now? Horse class. Are we going to write in the main function? No. Where are we going to? The horse class. Are we going to the fence class? No. The horse class. So the question is referring us back to the horse class. Is that understood? Takes the height and risk of fence as parameter. So that means there is another method in the horse class that takes two things as what? Parameters. Calculate what? The percentage chance of success that the horse jump the fence without what? Knocking it down, which is this example, isn't it? Then return the calculated percentage chance for the as a what? As a real number, not as an integer, as a decimal number. Write the program code for success. So we go back to the horse class. So this is the horse class. So there is another method. What is the name of the method? Success. What's the first thing to write? Self, isn't it? How many parameters does it require? 2, which is what? Height and risk as parameters. Understood? Now at this point, so it says that calculate the percentage chance of the success for that horse jumping the fence without knocking it down. So to calculate it, we need to check the first thing. If the height is not more than the maximum fence height, isn't it? If it is more than maximum fence height, what is the success? 20%, isn't it? So that is the first thing we have to check. That is the height of the fence more than the maximum fence height, isn't it? So we now check that if height is greater than the what? The self dot. Can you remember? What is the self dot? What? Maximum fence height. Can you remember? Good. So this means that if the height is more than what? The maximum fence height the horse can jump, isn't it? Now, so if it is more than, what does the question says? 20% of what? Percentage success, isn't it? So that means I have to calculate what? The percentage success, isn't it? So that means that, don't forget that percentage success is already defined, isn't it? So that means that success is equal to 20% is 0.2, right? Multiplied by self dot percentage success. Or I can even say self dot percentage success. Percentage success is equal to D. You see the same thing, isn't it? So like I said, if you like, use success a new variable is equal to, or anything you like, just make sure you do what? You calculate 0.2 of the what? Percentage success. Is that understood? Now, let's move forward. The next is else. That is, if it is what? Less than or equal to, isn't it? Less than or equal to. So that means else. If you like, write less than or equal to. If you like, write else. It's still the same thing, isn't it? So else, what is percentage success? It is what? The risk gives a modifier value to multiply what? The percentage success. So that means we have to write some if statements for the risk. So else, that is if it is greater than or equal, if it's less than or equal to, then we write if risk is equal to what? 1. Is that understood? So that means what? Self dot percentage success is equal to 0 point what? 1.0 is equal to self dot percentage success. Is that understood? Yeah, good. So if it is what if it is not 1, if it is 2? So instead of wasting my time, I can just do this. That is 5, right? 3, 4. I've taught you guys some shortcuts. So this is which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, isn't it? So with this, for 1, it is 1.0 multiplied by, isn't it? For 2, what is it? 0.9. 0.9 multiplied by. For 3, it should be what? 0.8. 0.8 multiplied by. For 4, it should be what? 0.7 multiplied by. For 5, it is what? 0.6 multiplied by. Is that understood? So we have done the all calculation. If you like, if you know that if this is 1, so instead of using if you use if or true, there's going to be a problem because everything will be checked, isn't it? But if you use elif, not everything will be, only one will be checked. So I'm supposed to use what? Elif. So you correct that. Elif, elif, elif. So that means if it is greater than, all this will be ignored, then it leaves. Is that understood? If it is less than or equal to, it checks any of them. If one of them is true, it ignores the others. Is that understood? It ignores the others. So after that is done, what is the next thing? Then returns the calculated. So now you now, out of all this if, then return self dot percentage success. Yes, it will be a real value. And that's why you use 1.0, 0.9, 0.8 to multiply. If I use 1 to multiply, if percentage was an integer, it's going to return an integer. But because I've used 1.0 to multiply, then it's going to return a what? A real. Simple. It's just as simple as that. So you don't have to do another float conversion. No. It's just logical and what? And technical. Is that understood? But if I have used 1 to multiply, then it will have return an integer value if the value is what? 1. Is that understood? Good. And if you use a real value to multiply an integer, it's going to return a real value. So even if percentage success was an integer, it's still going to return a what? A real value. Understood? Good. So this has been returned. So if you take a look at this, if height is greater than, it calculates. After calculating, it what? Skips all this and return. Is that understood? It skips all this and return. So it does not matter whether I write return here at this line or not. It does not matter. If this is not greater than, if it is less than or equal to, it checks any of these risks, isn't it? If one of the risks is true, it calculates for that risk and ignore others and return. Is that understood? So which leads to the end of that question. Now the next question. So question EI. At this point, most students will have been tired at this point. Like you've been typing and reading since morning. Most students will be tired at this point. So you have to keep going. So best thing in your exam, if you have water at this point, take a pause, sip some water, put it down, breathe out, in, out. Then after stretching, you drink water, you breathe in, out 3 times, then you continue. Or probably go to the bathroom and come back. That is an advice. Question EI. Write program code to amend what? Now let's go back to the main program. You can see that everything now looks so much and scattered that it's difficult for you to identify any mistake if there is a mistake. So you have to be very careful. So let's go back to the main code. This is the main code. To calculate and output the chance of the first horse jumping each of the 4 fencing without knocking it down. Does everyone understand that? Not yet. Calculate, output the chance of the first horse jumping each of the 4 fences. How many horses do we have? 2. So we are going to take the first horse. We will now look at that first horse. Can it jump the 4 fences? Remember, we have saved the 2 horses somewhere. We have saved the 4 fences somewhere. Isn't it? Then we will now go to where we saved the 2 horses. We will take the first one. Then we will now take each of the 4 fences. I repeat, each of the 4 fences and check, can it jump the 4 fences? Is that understood? Then we now output the chance. That is how to interpret this question. Calculate and output the chance of the second horse. Now the second one. So we'll do the first one, we'll do the second one. All outputs must be appropriate message. If it's not appropriate, you don't get that mark. Including the name of the horse and the what? Fence number. An example of output should be this. The horse fox at fence 1 has a 68% chance of success. So let's write the main program. Do you know we have the code for calculate? What is that code for calculate? Success, isn't it? So let's go back. Where did we save the 2 horses? Is here. Array horses. Where did we save the 4 fences? Array course, isn't it? Then we now go back here. Out of this for loop, don't forget, after the for loop, right? We have the 4 horses saved. We have the 2 horses saved, 4 fences saved. Then we now take the first fence. Is that understood? And do what? And calculate. So the first thing, if we take horse 0 for example, horse 0 already have the parameters of horse 1, isn't it? So let me call this what is it called? The success. So success. Sorry, not success. That will be what? Horse dot success. Isn't it? Yeah, this function will calculate what? The percentage success, isn't it? And it's from where? From the class horse. So I have called that function to calculate. Don't forget, it's going to return what? A value, isn't it? It's going to return a value. This returns self dot what? Percentage success, isn't it? It's going to return a value. So that value, let me call it success. That means success is equal to horse Oh, not us. That should be what? Us is 0 rather. Sorry. Us is 0 dot success, because us is 0 is what? Is us 1, isn't it? And us 1 is an instance of what? Of us, which the parameters have already been passed. Is that understood? So at first, I did not remember how to write this function as a weak student. I did not remember. Is that understood? But I remember that that success method is from the us class. Then I wrote us.success. After writing that, I realized that that means I have to pass some parameter because I called us, right? But the parameters are already in what? Are already been called here. The object is here already. So that means I need to change that to call what? Uses. That us one that I need is where? Is in uses 0. Is that understood? So this is the method. Return something and I've saved it to success. But this method requires what? Required what? Two parameters. Can you remember? What are the two parameters? Height and width. Do we have the height and width? Where? In the what? In the course. Because there are 4 courses. There are 4 courses, right? Because the array has 4 fences, which the height and the width has been inputted. Is that understood? So that means that as a parameter, I must pass 2 things from the parameters. And the 2 things must be from one array. Is that understood? Is that understood? So that means I need to for loop to take each of the instance in the array. Is that understood? So that will be for num or for index in range of what? Range of 4. Is that understood? In range of, because there are 4 fences saved in that what? In that array. So that means that then I write that 2 things need to be passed, right? That will be what? Cost 0. Okay, sorry, cost index and what? Comma cost. Oh no, it's just cost index, right? Let me check. I'll need to check. Yes, I'm coming. Let me check. Good. So if I write cost index is the 2 values in 1. Because for cost, an instance is saved in cost. But I need the height value and the width value. So that means the first thing I need to do is to write that height is equal to cost index dot. How do we get height from fence? Get height. Is that understood? Dot get height. Get height. Is that understood? I need to go and use this class fence to return the height, because if I use cost index like I have done here, what I have passed is an object, not a value. But this method success is requiring what? Value, not index, not objects. Is that understood? This method success requires how many values? 2 values, not objects but values. If I try to pass cost index, what I have just passed is what? An object, not 2 values. But that one object has how many values? 2 values. So how do I know the values? Then I will go to the class which I use to save those parameters and return what? The height and the width from that class. Is that understood? So that means that width as well is equal to what? Cost index dot what? Get width. Is that understood? Then that these 2 values have been gotten, they are no more objects now, right? They are now values. Then I will now pass what? Height, H-E-I, height, and width, and what? Width. Is that understood? Then 2 values have been passed, not objects. So a common confusion may arise, like height and width was used here. Height and width is used again. Is that not going to be a kind of confusion? No. Height and width here is used in this for loop. When this for loop was done, height and width still has these values. But at this point, the height and width value has been changed to a new value. So it does not affect the previous thing, because the previous thing, that was why I told you that this code runs line by line. The one before was run first before the new one. And the reason why I don't want to change this variable is so that I can be consistent and follow the question. If I use x, y, z, you know we will have disorganized this code, do you know? If you have been using x, y, z, a, b, c, or num1, num2, variable 1, variable 2, if we did not use the variables in the name of the context, then we will have messed up this code. Is that understood? Good. Now, I hope everyone understands this now. Now, success, do you know that success has now been calculated? Do you know? Success have now been calculated for what? For us, 0. Is that understood? So what I need to do now? Output that success in a suitable message. So how do I output? Then we'll go back to the question. Then I write print f, then use format to print. The us, the name of the us. What is the name of the us? That will be us 0 dot what? In fact, coding is very interesting. Everything is now linked. Dot get name, okay. At fence 1. So that will be at fence what? Index. Yes, at fence 1. At fence index plus 1, because index is what? 0. At fence 1. Okay. What's the next thing? As a success chance. Success, that was the reason I told you guys what? Format. Success chance of what? Success of success. So simple, so interesting. If you get to this point, even you will be happy by yourself if you get to this point. That's, we need to add the percentage, right? That will be success percentage, right? Good. Thank you. The next thing is now what? For the second us, right? So then I write this. I just copy this because of time. Paste. Then this become what? Us 1. Us 1. Now, are we done? Yes, we are done. Then see you in the next video.